really excited because we are coming up on something that we've all been working with for a year. I mean, after last year, the Thriving Pet Expo decided to do this for a second day, to do a 2-day trip next year. And now we're just talking to all of our speakers, revealing their topics, but we've only got 5 days left and this is happening. But so I want you guys all to know, if you haven't, I'm sure most of you know who Billy Hookman is, but Billy Hookman's going to be talking about the expo, what's going on, and he's revealing his topic tonight. So Billy, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate being here. I'm very excited to, can't believe it's on Friday, or I mean Saturday, which is kind of crazy, but very excited to be there and talk and have a booth for Green Juju and just connect with people.
Yeah, it's always so weird when it like seems like it's taken forever, and then boom, it's there, and we got to do setup on Friday, and then the event is on Saturday. So I always, when I bring people on, and we are going to be talking about the Thriving Pet Expo, revealing the topic that Billy's going to be talking about, but also want to let you know that if there's any questions you guys have, Billy loves answering questions. If you have questions about Green Juju, we're going to talk a little bit about Green Juju because he's the vice president of nutrition for Green Juju. So you can ask questions. You don't have to just hide in the background. So please put any questions you want out. So Billy, let's just get right to it. What are we going to be talking about at the Thriving Pet Expo?
So the title of my presentation is Plant Magic, New Foundations to Diversify Diet and the Microbiome. So one of the things that I have found very, very interesting, in the 2.5 years that I've been at Green Juju, is just a lot more research into plants and the role that they play. And I'm someone who thinks about nutrition like 98% of my day. That's truly what drives me in terms of if it's feeding my own dog or creating something or doing something for R&D for Green Juju, it's really the same thing in my brain. It's that part that I love. And getting to research plants and realizing that plants, have a lot bigger role to play than I think we initially thought. But then also relating that back to just how to diversify diet in general. So I'm excited to, be able to put that out there. And I really strive to do things that are different and to present. There's nothing cooler, I think, in nutrition than if you take something and make something new or have a new concept. So you're not necessarily just building off of old information, but you're trying to do something that's better in a completely different way to drive, nutrition forward. I think that's really what we try to do at Green Juju. But so I think people will really enjoy it.
I know I'm excited about it because I love nutrition too. I think about it a lot, probably not nearly as much as you do, but I do constantly. I'm always interested in things. And it seems in the beginning, when I first started looking at pet nutrition, I thought, oh, it's simple. But now it's more like space to me, where there's so much stuff that hasn't even been explored, right? That you just it's so vast. It's not nearly as simple as just putting some food in your mouth and surviving. It's so I can't wait to hear your talk because I know it's going to dive really deep, and it's just going to be so interesting. So how long are you speaking for? Isn't it it's like 45 minutes, right? Or an hour?
Yep, 45 minutes. And the other thing I'll say too is having sorry, there's a very loud muffler outside my window. So the benefits of living in a small town in Pennsylvania. So the other thing is, I wasn't able to attend last year because my dad passed away, which, so this will be a really great opportunity for me because obviously I had other things to take care of, but I really wanted to be there, and not only just to speak, but also to hear the other speakers, and getting that you got some of the same people back, which I think is an amazing thing to do.
Yeah.
It'll be a really great opportunity for me to do that. So I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, it's the speakers. That's why we ended up doing a 2-day, because it's just, I feel like I could do this over the course of like 3 weeks. There's so much valuable information, and it hits home differently for each person, depending on what's going on with their animals. But, we are doing it in 2 days because we just needed there's just so much. And hopefully we're going to get all of that information out there. But listening to the speeches, that's something my goal this year is. Last year I was running around trying to do everything. And then this year I said, that's it. I already told everybody I want to listen to these speeches. I want to listen to this stuff because it's interesting to me. And I love listening to people speak it versus reading books. I like to read, but hearing somebody really who has the experience and who's dove into it is just so much better than just Googling something, right?
Oh, for sure. And even just looking at the list on this, so just to go through some of it was funny because I was like, oh, I want to kind of highlight some, but then all of them are not only my friends, but they're
Yeah.
also just brilliant people. So anytime I get to see Katie Kangas and Barry Sands, we just have a blast together, just on a personal note, but
Yeah.
also I don't get as many opportunities to actually see them speak. So very excited to see like the perspective they'll bring. And then obviously Julianne Lee, we don't get to see each other nearly enough. And so just, getting to kind of like, we do a lot of like, in the past, we've done a lot of live events together, which I think is like, we riff off each other pretty well because we always go back to nature and
Yeah.
but we see things in different ways. And so I think, you know, having known her for a long time, very excited about that. And then of course you have Dr. Katie Woodley, who I just hung out with in Vegas. Actually, I was at a Mexican restaurant with her and Rita Hogan, had the time of my life. And I think that Katie Woodley just is able to like appeal to like mass sensibility. Like she can give people real tips about how
Yeah.
to like do this stuff, and like take you on her journey. I know you didn't ask for like a nice little like, here's
No, I
why
love
this
it.
is going to be amazing, but and then Rita as well. Like I know she has a book coming out, which I'm so excited to read because I don't. So I love the topic of herbs and herb properties, and like a good example of that is we have a freeze dried goat food coming out, and instead of the dark leafy green, we're using parsley as the dark leafy green. So you're not only getting the fiber profile and the vitamin K1 profile and all those things that we needed to sort of complete the AFCO complete and balance part of it.
Right. Right.
Um, but you get the medicinal benefits of the parsley itself. So I love the idea of herbs, and I love going to people that know way more than me about specific topics so I can learn. And so Rita's going to be great. And then Odette Suter is, always hilarious to be around, but also is doing such cool things with, poop. And she would, people would be like, what did you just say about her? But she would love that I said she's doing such cool things with poop.
I
Um,
totally, totally.
and I think we're both jiving on the same part of the body when it comes to the microbiome, but we kind of look at it in a complementary way. So it's just going to be really cool to see what everyone's doing, and it also gives me a really good opportunity to learn and apply that to not only what we're doing at Green Juju, but also what I feed my own dog. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, I'll be there as a presenter and also a dork that's just trying to get in as much information as possible. So I'm a
That's the,
huge dork, though. Everybody knows that.
well, yeah. The first time I met you, that's what you said. You're just, because I was trying to figure out how you fit, not how you fit into the thing, but I was like, who's this guy? I'm like, who's this guy? What does he know? And then quickly learned you knew way more than I knew. So I was like, oh my gosh, this guy. But that's how you introduced yourself to me. I remember you were like, I'm just a nerd that likes to learn about nutrition. And
Oh, well, there you go.
yeah,
I'm highly overrated. So
I
there
don't
you
think
go.
so. You're humble, that's for sure, but not. I definitely don't think you're overrated.
I was gonna be like, I'm highly overrated. Just ask my wife. But
Well, yeah, us wives, we tend to do that. I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, we kind of do that. But no, I think all of the speakers, you guys are all just gonna knock it out of the park, and it's just gonna be so amazing. And what I love about it is that, when we sent this out, like, what do you guys want to talk about? Little by little, it just kind of covers everything. Did you know that Dr. Suter is actually going to be talking about the nervous system,
Oh,
which is yeah, which
that's
is
wonderful.
yeah. So there's some of the topics, then they just kind of all kind of mesh together to kind of cover not everything of the body, but a lot of it. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So, but what are you guys working on with Green Juju right now? I know you said there's some new stuff.
Yeah, so in October we have goat and lamb freeze-dried foods. So we released a couple freeze-dried foods in March that just incredibly proud of in terms of the formulation and the cleanness of the label. And I think for a market that people are doing, which is freeze-dried food, I think we did something really special there. Using all or mostly heart instead of muscle meat, and then increasing the amount of kidney and liver and meeting specific sort of nutrient profiles. And so we're kind of continuing down that road with the same premise, but we are doing lamb and goat. And it was really interesting because it wasn't even that we were just seeking out lamb and goat particularly. It was that sourcing came to us, and the sourcing was really cool. And we're like, all right, we'll do it. And that's one of the things that separates Green Juju from other companies is most companies have a board of directors or investors, and they have that sort of business oversight. But we're one of the last true indie brands that it's really just me and Kelly, and we can whatever we want to do, we just do it. So one cool thing about the sourcing on that is, so both of those are from Australia. So the lamb is obviously pasture-raised, grass-fed lamb. And the other cool thing about what we're doing with those foods is you don't have to take our word for it, because we do the full fatty acid testing on it. And that lamb has a 3-to-1 omega 3-to-6 ratio, which means that it's grass-fed. So you can just know that it's ethically raised and fed a proper diet based on that hard evidence, rather than just taking our word for it. So that was actually tied for our best omega 6-to-3 ratio with the bison. But then our goat is another cool story, because the guy initially, when he was talking to me about it, he's like, oh, the goat is like half of it's like pasture raised on a farm, and then I want to talk on the phone about the other half. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good.
Oh, that
Like
doesn't sound good.
usually that's like, okay, we're not gonna be able to do this,
I'm not putting this in writing.
Yeah. And it wasn't, yeah, and that would usually be the case, but he just kind of wanted to explain it to me. But the other goat is actually wild harvested. So it's even better than grass-fed farm goat. And
Wow.
because of that, we actually have a 2-to-1 omega 6-to-3 ratio, which is our best ratio on that goat product. And just proud of getting some more novel proteins on there. And then we will also, in October, we have venison broth coming out, which is frozen. And it's wild harvested bones from Hawaii. So that's going to be really cool, because you get the increased mineral content and just. Meanwhile, my dog's like chewing his leg over there, and I'm fighting the urge to be like, "Hey, stop it!" And then what's the other? It's funny because now my mind's blanking on. And then we're also, so because I think you have them at their store. We have kind of the rainbow of treats.
Right.
So we're also.
Can I just stop you for a second? For those of you
Yeah.
guys who are coming to the event, you guys were so generous with your gift bags, stuff that put in the gift bag. So everybody gets a bag. And I mean, Green Juju, you guys gave I sell that whole thing in my store. So I'm putting together these gift bags. I even contacted you. I was like, did you want me to put these these full bags in there? Because I was thinking I was going to get little samples,
Yeah.
and so I wanted to be sure. So for those of you guys who are coming to this event, let me just tell you, those gift bags, I didn't put a dollar amount on it. I probably should, but I'm going to guess that those gift bags alone now, with all of the samples and stuff that went in there, because of the generosity of some of these companies, the gift bag alone is probably worth $100.
That's great.
Yeah, it's just, it was amazing. So thank you for that. It was really, really, really awesome to have, these full sample things that are in there. It's good gift.
Well, you are welcome. And that will get them started, and then in October they can purchase we're coming out with goat purple, so it'll kind of complete the rainbow of we have beef red, pork pink, salmon blue, bison green, and duck orange, and now we'll have goat purple.
Goat
And
purple.
one of the really cool things about that product is that so the things that are purple in it are is purple cabbage, purple carrots, and blackberries. And normally berries are an accent, but berries actually make up the most significant. The blackberries make up the most significant portion of the plant matter in there. So I
Wow.
think it'll be a really nice thing to be able to get those extra antioxidants and in that side of things. So um, really proud of that. And then I think that the not so secret that we've been telling everyone is that we will have frozen food in the
Can't wait.
spring as well. So
Yeah.
that will be the same very limited ingredient formulas, just much more affordable for larger dogs. And we're going to have bulk patty boxes and
So great. It
patties and
is.
1 ounce sliders.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I like about small companies that are, you don't have the investors behind you going, we need to sell this for $4 million. There's still that love and passion to try to keep things affordable for every pet to get it in their mouth and try to do that. I love that about you guys, and it's just amazing. It's
I think
good.
people are really going to like the price point on that because we're cognizant of that. Because it's kind of like when we released goat milk. I wanted two things: the best quality in the industry and the best price point. And we did that for a reason because I didn't want it to really be a barrier for people. Because out of all the animals, except for my dog, who's totally ungrateful and is like the one dog I've met that does not do well on goat's milk. And people
Weird.
are always like, "Did you try this?" I'm like, "I literally tried everything with this dog, but." Every other dog and cat, it's something that has obviously been very important to me over the years. And
Yeah,
so we definitely have that in mind. And also, times we're in, not every, people don't have unlimited budgets. So we
right.
definitely do the best we can.
Right, right. No, and it doesn't go unnoticed, especially like even with the gifts that you guys gave for people that are coming to this and offering your time and all of this stuff has just been amazing. Let's get to Terry's question real quick. She says she has a lot of goose eggs. What other ideas do you have for giving her dog goose eggs? Anything?
Uh, well, you should eat a lot of goose eggs then, Terry. That's the first part.
Yeah,
Eggs are an incredible food. People talk about amino acids and all those things, but reproductive foods are just, an incredible ball of nutrient density, especially in fat soluble vitamins. So keep in mind, you can do, I consider eggs to really be a complete food. And so you could do really as many as you want as your dog will like and or tolerate. Um, so, in fact, if I could feed my dog just milk and eggs, I would. But again, we went over his ridiculousness for the milk thing. But eggs are a huge part of what I feed my own personal dog. So,
so I remember the first time I saw eggs that were like frozen, right? Like
hmm
they freeze the egg, and then what I started doing, I don't know if this will help you, Terry, but like you take the shell off of it, and then I actually will put them in my backyard, and my dogs hunt for them because
oh,
they
cool.
they stay they kind of stay a little bit hard, and then after a while they'll start to soften really soft. And like I do that in the summertime when it's hot out and something to cool them down or something, but then they can hunt for the eggs. So I've
That's a
even
great idea.
yeah, I've even hard boiled eggs. I mean, I prefer them raw, but I've even just hard boiled an egg and hit them in my garden. My dogs go searching for them. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, that's the thing too, is I have grown, I had only done frozen raw for so long. I have
yeah,
grown, especially after going to, being in the processing side of things and looking at freeze drying and all these different processes that go through and cooking and that side of things. And I have really grown personally in the last 2 years in terms of like, some people like to hard boil their eggs, some people like to scramble them, and that's great. I
yeah,
mean, it's just wonderful that you're making food for your dog
right,
and or cat in general. And some people like to do a big crock pot, and that's cool. Like
yeah,
Judy Morgan has amazing recipes for that kind of thing.
yeah,
And so it's been really nice to kind of like expand my horizons, but also expand my horizons just on like I went to a freeze drying and HPP conference sort of workshop at the University of Nebraska, and which was a very eye opening sort of experience. but you learn so much about the fact that a lot with these processing steps, you still get most or all of the nutrition depending on the processing step. So, I think we can get very lost in everything has to be raw, but
Right.
hard boiled eggs are amazing in that
I
case.
think that that's how you can tell someone's been doing this for a while, because you can see kind of the you start to open up and learn different things. Because I know when I first was all about raw, it was like that's all you can do is raw.
Hmm.
And I don't give my dogs a lot of cooked food. I'll do like a hard boiled egg or something like that. But because I don't want to mess them up to where they can't do raw, right? Like their body's not used to eating the raw. So, but every once in a while I do. But I've backed up. I wish you guys could see my dog right now. I don't know how he's laying like that. I can't show you, but he's like, how are you doing? I just saw him. I'm like, are you dead? He's got his head hung over a chair, like all the way
Of
down.
course. Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't look comfortable, but okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, kind of letting people just kind of it's so much better than doing the super over processed kibbles and kind of getting people just on those paths. So that's really what I like about the group of speakers that I have for the Thriving Pet Expo is I think everybody's been in this for long enough that they've come around to realizing about the benefits of freeze dried food and like getting Dr. Morgan's books and learning how to cook if you're going to be in the kitchen and you want to cook for your pet. I love it.
Hmm.
And we have just such good diversity at the Thriving Pet Expo too. So it's just going to be thrilling. I want to ask you a little bit if you can help because you might be able to help me with this. I have a lot of clients that are constantly giving fish oil, right? They want to give the fish oil to their dogs because they think it's going to help with the itchy and the skin. Can you talk to us a little bit about omega, the balancing of omegas and the importance of that? Because we talked about the omegas that you're talking about in the meat, but I don't think
Hmm.
people realize really what we're talking about when you talk about balancing the omegas, not just getting one, right?
Yeah. So it really just depends. Um, so and this is human diet as well. It's
Right.
dog and cat and human diet. You're looking for just like an overall balance. So like in my own life, I take raw cod liver oil every morning, but I also eat
I'm sorry.
very good. Yeah, it's very tasty, obviously. Um, but I also eat well sourced. I drink well sourced raw milk, and I eat well sourced animals, say, grass fed beef, that kind of thing. So as long as you're feeding all of those things and those things are raised properly, like I said with our food fits anywhere from 8 parts omega 6 to 1 part omega 3 and lower, which I would consider to be in the prime sort of anti-inflammatory ratio. You don't need to supplement with a lot of fish oil. Um, and I always go back to when you're looking at fish oil, what is the processing? What is that type of thing in terms of doing that? I mean, I myself use almost daily or pretty much daily a sardine that comes in a can.
Man.
Why? Because number one, it's really available to me because we go to So I'm 40 now, and our fun is like, oh, we're gonna go to Target and Whole Foods on a Friday night. That's like an amazing party night for us. So I'm there. And I'm also looking at this bone-in sardine fillet, and I'm thinking to myself, this is way less processed than most fish oils. Um, so it just depends on how you want to go with that. But the whole point of it, this is a great question because the whole point of our food is to prove that you don't need that in order to balance that ratio. So you're looking to get anywhere from, like I said, 1 to 8 and lower. And like milk has a 1 to 1 omega 3 to 6 ratio. So if you're using our goat milk, you're going to get a 1 to 1 ratio on that. If you're using our beef food, you're going to get a 4 to 1 ratio. If you're using an egg that's pasture raised, that's from a chicken that's outside and eats grass and bugs, you're going to get at least, it's going to be 1 to 7 or lower, just depending on what that chicken ate, and if they supplemented with flaxseed, etc. So really, as long as you're like doing the ethical thing and eating animal, or your dog is eating animals that are farmed correctly, you don't have to do it. I would say the main reason as well, like for instance in my case, or a dog's case for using, say, cod liver oil is to get the extra retinol, vitamin A, and vitamin D. But don't assume that you have to. It just depends on what ratio you have. And also for those who want to, if you're using green juju food, say, and we need to get a graphic up online or something. But if you're using our food for freeze dried food now, or if you're going to use our frozen food, since we have all the fatty acid testing data, I actually calculated out how much you need for certain amounts. So a good example of that is the rabbit with duck liver is 1 to 7. And so if anyone emails us, if you want that ratio to be 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, I can tell you the exact amount of omega-3 to add per ounce so you can fit. So let's say you had a dog that you said like, oh, they do great with rabbit and duck liver, but they're dealing with cancer, so I want to lower that ratio. If anyone reaches out to us, I can tell you the exact amount, and you can just pair that up with your supplement and get, whatever ratio you're looking for.
So how do people determine what ratio they want for their pet? Is it just from trial and error? I know that you can get it tested, but not all vets will test your omegas. But
Yeah, it's hard too, though. Like the hard part is like, um, sorry, I'm just seeing this question, which is
it's a sad story.
yeah, which is very interesting. Yeah, it's hard to tell because, I don't know. I would say like if people are dealing with like a senior dog that has like maybe some inflammatory issues, or they're dealing with like a major issue or like kidney disease or something like that, you'd probably want to lower the ratio. But I don't know if there's a way to figure out like, hey, what's the exact one I'm looking for? I think when you look at studies of like prey in the wild, I think they're typically average out at like 1 to 5. So if you're going that route, then you could do that. But I feel like there's a lot, I think.
But that's a good starting point, like to try to get your ratio to be 1 to 5, right? But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I know this is just based on what I like to feed. I'm not shooting for a specific ratio, but I know that huckleberries given is 1.1 to 2.57. But that just comes from like food and what I like want
Huckleberry
to
is
feed.
Billy's dog, by the way, for those of you who
Yes,
don't know.
he is. He is a French bulldog, and he is. Yeah, I just got him one of those beds that like has the hood on it where they can burrow under it because he loves
Oh, does he like
burrowing.
it?
Oh my god, he loves it. It's the best
He
purchase
does?
ever because he always has to be under blankets, and now
Yeah,
he can
yeah.
just like do it. It's brought me so much joy. Although my daughter likes to read in it as well, so that's also part of it. But
You should bring some pictures of that so we
well,
can see.
I should say read because she's 2, but so she looks at books and goes like, oh, here's a picture of this. Um, but yeah, so I would say like all of our foods are going to fit within that healthy ratio. It just matters, I would just say like if you are dealing with a major health issue, you may want to reach out to us and we can help you like get that to be ideal, I guess. Or like you could just feed the goat because that is 1 to 2 already. So
Yeah, I'm so excited about the goat. I really am, because it's not something we see a lot in food, so it's
mhm.
good to have to start seeing a little bit more of it and kind of expanding. Plus, maybe giving the cows a little bit of a break or something. I don't know. Like it's
Well,
just
and the other part too is on the lamb side of things, it's actually the same price point as our beef and pork.
really.
Yeah, so you're
Oh,
gonna get, a price break on that too, and it just goes to show you that you can make things that are the highest quality in terms of, ingredients, but
yeah.
don't have to sell the farm to feed it. So,
So when we run this, it runs through two different places. It goes through my Facebook for the spa, and it also runs through Saving Pets One Pet at a Time. Just so you guys know, sometimes I can't see your name. Like when it comes up right now, it's coming up as Facebook user. So that's why I'm not addressing your name. I don't know who this is. But Billy, she did have a question. It says, I have a pug who is desperately missing his best friend who lives in Pennsylvania. What food can I give him to help overcome his grief? I don't know if that's something that you dabble in a little bit, or
I don't. The only in terms of this I've never had this question. That is for sure.
Right, right.
Um, I do love pugs, as most people know. I would say number one, the first. I I mean, I would say the first thing I would look to, which I don't have an expertise in, is like CBD.
Yeah,
Um, that's not a well, it is a food. I mean, if you're using like the
yeah.
what is the oh my god,
I'm not a
I
CBD.
I have friends who are going to the full spectrum product.
Uh-huh.
You're getting all of the
The plant.
yeah. So that is food, and so that's something, or maybe you could look like on the herb side, or even like
I was just
the
gonna say this is gonna be like a Rita, really good
yeah,
like
exactly right.
energetics course, and that kind of stuff probably would be really helpful. So
Yeah, so I think something like that would be appropriate as well. Or you could maybe go to like just supporting the brain in general, but I would say that has less to do with grief and more to do with like if your dog had like dementia and then you wanted to like just support the brain and you wanted to like increase DHA or something like that. But I would say like CBD or some kind of calming herb, maybe like a chamomile or something like that. But
yeah, I would say a little bit about for what I would think of would be trying to keep his mind off of it a little bit, which would be like giving him more time to eat his food might help, right? So he's not gobbling it up and being done with it, giving him a little bit more time. But I've seen dogs go through grief and it's just horrific to watch. It's just awful. It's awful. So, but I just got a message that message came through
yeah,
from Krista.
yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
Krista.
See, we answered that question seriously, but Krista,
Chris is messing with you.
so I am Bruce's godfather, Krista's dog, Bruce Wayne,
Yeah.
the pug. Everybody go follow him on Instagram. And also, they are Huckleberry's godparents. And it is
Oh,
true that Huckleberry and Bruce are best friends.
oh,
So I bet her and Jeff, who actually her husband works for Green Juju,
right.
um, are laughing right now
Oh,
at
I'm sure.
me and the
I'm
situation.
sure.
So basically, you're fired, Jeff, and we'll move on.
And I'm just sitting here going, "Oh my gosh, this poor thing. I don't know how to help
Yep.
him." Yeah, I'll throw out a little thank you for that too. But it's not a bad question. You know, if we can use some kind of food or so, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah,
That is
thanks,
true.
Krista.
I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't put two and two together and was fooled. So kudos to them.
Yeah, good for them. Good for them. That was a good one. That was a good one. Um, Well, anyway, so, but I'm glad you were talking about the omegas because I think there's so much confusion about that in, just everybody just running out to get their fish oils and then they're just frustrated because they're giving so much fish oil to their pet and it's not working and understanding that and maybe getting your pet tested. I just took my dog into a vet that I wanted to meet. She says he does genuinely grieve Huckleberry, though, even though I was just trying to make you guys laugh. Yeah, well, you succeeded. I was like, how are we going to answer this? I'm going to throw it at Billy. Billy, you should answer this question. But I just took my dog into a vet that I wanted to meet and try to get to know and see if she was going to be somebody that I would be referring my clients to. So I took him in for a wellness check, and she said that he needed that his omegas were off and that I needed to give him this fish supplement. So I asked her if there was a test for that, and she said no. So it was
So,
interesting.
like, she was basing it off the diet, or
No, just looking at him.
oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, I
It was
mean,
interesting to just look at my dog and go, his omegas are off. And I was like, well, is there a test for that? And she said no. But I know that
yeah.
like there is a test for it. So, to try to find out what your omegas, at least there is with humans, I should say. So it was just kind of interesting. Terry says wild caught salmon oil once a week, fermented cod liver with butter once a week, and other days whole fresh sardines.
Killing it, Terry, especially with that fermented cod liver with butter. That's what I take on the road when I travel. So there you go. Me and Terry's dog are living the life.
You, I'm so I just don't think I can be that healthy if that's what it takes if I have to drink cod liver. That's what you drink
Well,
every
I
morning?
well, I mean, it's a half a teaspoon. It's not like, but I will tell you, I'm excited to come to California because I
Yeah.
can go to the grocery store and buy raw kefir and drink it myself.
Yeah,
So,
I think are we the only state that's still
no, there's three. And coincidentally, I've lived in all of them:
oh,
California, Washington, and Pennsylvania. You can buy it in the store.
Pennsylvania really still?
Oh, Pennsylvania is like, I mean, I can buy, I have a milkman who delivers raw milk to my house every Tuesday. So we're
Wow.
like we're like old school here. And oh, I was gonna say though too about omega fatty acids. It's also kind of a way to cheat a little bit in formulation, because what I mean by that is if you're using lower quality meat, you could supplement, you could add fish oil to it to increase the omega 6s or omega 3s so they're in line again in the right ratio. But like we don't add anything, so we can't hide behind that necessarily.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one of the things too, because like I do think, going back to what we were talking about before, it is more about the ratio of those things than it is to like, hey, this is the specific amount we're looking for. The other thing to think about too is, and it depends on the data you're looking at, but pastured eggs have a lot of omega fatty acids in them.
Mhm.
And you can even buy specific brands that are specifically, like I was just on the East Coast doing a lot of business trips, and the brand that they had there were specifically supplemented with flaxseed. And so those eggs that I was eating were had 300 milligrams of omega 3 per egg, and that's a mixture of ALA, and then two more important ones, EPA and DHA, that you're looking for. So those are ways to, you can meet that requirement. Like Huckleberry probably gets like somewhere in the range of like 1,500 milligrams to 2,000 milligrams in a day just from food. He
Wow.
doesn't need any oil or anything like that. But that,
Right.
that it also yeah, it goes back to part of that. So just depends on what works for your dog.
I think that people just assume anytime their dog is scratching that it's that they need omegas. They just blame it all on that constantly, that it's omegas, and that's why they end up just adding in those fish oils without really knowing what they're doing or why they're doing it or how they're doing it. It just they end up, I think, imbalancing their own dogs. But AFCO doesn't require that to be on any packaging, right?
No, and also the funny thing about AFCO is that I mean, this sentence could end with anything. The funny thing about AFCO is blank. But the funny thing
Period.
about AFCO is that, so we know, for instance, that like you want that ratio to surely be under 1 to 10.
Right.
Like we're saying 1 to 8 and lower, and you want it to be somewhere. Let's say prey is 1 to 5 or something like that. But the AFCO ratio is 1 to 30, which is completely inflammatory. So they and
What's
also,
so? Wait, I'm sorry. I was reading this thing about the itchy cat because I see the word
yeah,
cat and then I just am completely like squirrel. But the AFCO is 1 to 30. Did you say?
yeah, you can go up to 1 to 30
Oh,
and still meet
geez.
meet that requirement. And so obviously that's inflammatory. Like a good example of that would be, if you were to eat grass-fed beef, that would be like anywhere like 1 to 2 to 1 to 4 ratio of omega 3 to 6. But if you eat grain-fed beef, or gets even worse because we know that cows are fed garbage and whatnot, that's at least one part omega 3 to 17 parts omega 6 and higher. So we know that's an inflammatory food, more or less, versus you know an inflammatory food when anti-inflammatory food when you're looking at the
Right.
grass-fed one. And so the AFCO one can go so much higher because obviously most foods are using, terrible ingredients. And also, um, EPA and DHA aren't even recognized as essential nutrients by AFCO. So if I were to put that information on our food, it would have to have a little asterisk that said these are not, recognized as essential, even though they're essential fatty acids, and they're called that because you have to consume them. It's also a good time to mention too that remember that plant omega fatty acids, unless you're using a specific algae oil that's made up of EPA and DHA, are not the same. So if you look on your, supplement and it's made of flax, that's ALA, which your dog has to then convert to EPA and DHA. And your dog is not good at that. In fact, humans aren't good at that. In fact, there's some humans who can't really do that at all. Um, to any marginal, to any real way to get their omega 3s that
Right.
way. Their ALA has uses in the body, but I would say your brain is, or your dog's brain is going to be mostly using DHA and things like that. So you may see at the grocery store or on your supplement like chia seeds have way more omega 3 than salmon. That's fine, but it's like everything. Animals actually have the usable pre-made version. Plants have a convertible version. So just something to think
That's a
about in
good way
terms
to,
of.
that should be your quote.
Well, there you go. I mean, it is animal foods are just more efficient.
Yeah.
Um, that's not debatable. The people eat all different ways, in terms of eating meat or not eating meat. But you know, retinol vitamin A is never going to not be more efficient than beta carotene, for example. So
Yeah. See, he's not kidding when he says he spends 98% of his life thinking about nutrition.
it's like three things. I think of probably four things. So I think about nutrition, uh, my daughter and my wife, and the Green Bay Packers, and less now maybe, but Marvel comic books and superhero movies. So everything I do is nerdy, pretty much.
Yeah, whatever. The Green Bay Packers, that's my family's favorite. I don't really watch football, but my
You
dad and
have a
I,
smart family then.
they
I'm,
are
I
they are so into the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, there you go, and also Katie Kangas is also from Wisconsin,
I
and so she
know.
knows what's up.
I couldn't
I
believe it. I went out to Vital Essentials to see their plant many years ago, and so going into Green Bay, and
Yep.
I wanted to go see the stadium to take pictures for my family because they're huge Green Bay Packer fans. And I have to say, I know this is so off topic, but if you're a Green Bay Packer fan, I had no idea that like people. Have you been to the stadium?
Yeah.
What is it, Lambeau?
Yeah.
Like the houses and the people, like everything, their
Yeah.
house, their whole, like their yards are like the roofs
This
of their homes. I was like, this is insane. I never
the
saw anything like.
stadium. I was actually up there with Jeff, who works for us, who's a
Yeah,
big football fan. But there's no way to prepare yourself for the fact that Green Bay is a city of 100,000 people that has a professional football franchise. So it's like the stadium. I'm sure you saw this, is just huge and in the middle of this, in the city. And then there's not really that much around it.
I
And
know.
it's all, you have to walk through someone's yard when you park to go up to it. So it's a
That's what
very
I'm saying. And like their homes
yeah,
were all decorated, and like
yeah,
it was interesting. It
that
was a
is
nice
true.
little interesting little trip for me. So what about krill and sardines? What do you think of those?
Sardines are
Well,
great. Just talked about, might make their way into, if people are coming to the presentation. I don't know as much about krill, and I don't ever, BS on things I don't know about. So, from what little I do know, I would try to make sure there's not a lot of processing there,
yeah,
um, in terms of that. So it just kind of depends, but
right.
something that maybe I'll look into.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to let you pretty much go, but just I'm going to see you. I'm going to see you Friday. For those of you guys who are going, for those of you that aren't going, hopefully we'll see you next year. We're not going to be videotaping this year, so that won't be available to you guys. But people have their phones, so maybe you'll get a little sneak peek here and there of some stuff. But I'm just so excited. I am so excited to spend an entire weekend. Last year, it just went so fast. It was just like one day and it was done. And then, this is going to give us such a good time to kind of spend Saturday learning. And then we get to come back Sunday and kind of communicate some of the learning that we're doing. So I'm just so excited, and I can't wait for you guys to be there and be part of it. And the people that aren't going, I feel really sad for, but I know we're all working together to try to change this industry. So it's you guys are just doing such an incredible job with Green Juju and making such a good difference. And I'm just so excited that you merged in there, and now we have raw food coming, frozen. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. So
Oh, it's
um,
gonna be great. It's funny. Kelly always makes fun of me because I'm not. I'm like the least. I'm very Midwest in that I'm not emotional at all, really, most of the time. And so I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm totally excited, and that's like as base.
yeah,
That's me
yeah,
being excited. But I really am excited. I love, like I said, not only seeing my friends who are so brilliant who are speaking alongside me, but just meeting people in general,
yeah,
and getting to have that sense of community and have that sense of we're all passionate about this
yeah,
thing that affects things that don't have a voice for themselves. So we have to be that voice. So very excited
yeah.
about that.
Well, I think that's one of the things I'm excited about myself. And I think that the Midwest comment you made must just be men, because I'm from the Midwest. And when I get excited, my husband's like, calm down. It
that
must just
could
be
that that could be true as well.
because I get so excited. But now I lost my train of thought when I got on that, because I'm in my 50s. So wait till you get there. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. Uh,
See, you look like a young 50s to me. I would not have guessed that.
oh, I'm pushing 55. I think it's right around the corner. So I'm whatever. So
I'm
maybe
40 going on 80, so I'm good. And I can prove that because I just had my nightly hot water with lemon. So
that is definitely an 80-year-old something's to do. I don't know. Maybe our omegas are doing something. I don't know, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for coming on and revealing your topic. So let's just reiterate that one more time. It's magic, plant magic, right?
yep, and
Yep.
and there you go. See, you said before we started if you had to say it, and then you hilariously didn't say it. So that made my night right there. It's called Plant Magic: New Foundations to Diversify Diet and the Microbiome.
Yeah. See, I told Billy before, if somebody asks me to say something specifically, it will not come out correctly. And you can go back through some of my old podcasts to prove that, because when I introduce people by their name, I always mispronounce it because I get nervous when I have to say it specifically. And I'm like, this
Yeah.
isn't going to come
Hmm.
right. And then I'm like, oh, Billy Hockman. Hey,
Well,
what?
well, I think you did great,
Yeah. Well,
and
it's going to be exciting.
absolutely. And I will see you soon.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and just kind of learning a little bit about omegas from Billy was just a little touch of what's going to be going on at the event. But I know, Billy, you're speaking kind of all over the country, right? Where else are you speaking?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Let me look at the old calendar here.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry. I just threw that one on him.
oh no, I got the calendar right here.
Oh, good.
Um, I'm actually doing a couple of. Well, let me see. I'll just go for the major one. So I'm doing an event in Charlottesville, called the Pillars of Health with Judy Morgan, and a couple other
Yeah.
people, on Saturday, October 21st. And then I'm also doing one of the Judy Morgan Experience events in Eatontown, New Jersey, on October 28th as well. So those
Oh,
are those
awesome.
are kind of the big ones, and so hope to see everybody there. Those are kind of on the East Coast, so if you can't make the West Coast, the East Coast is there too.
I know that's what I love, is that you guys are starting to travel and speak more, because it just matters. It matters that this community sticks together and makes the change we need. It's why we all got into it. So I'm glad you are speaking. So you said in Eaton, New Jersey.
Eaton, New Jersey, Judy Morgan Experience. If you just go to Judy Morgan's
Oh, that's a
website,
good idea. Yeah.
both of those should be on there on the events page. So,
Okay, good. So if
yep.
you guys can't make it out to California, Billy speaks a lot. So, and of course, if you follow Green Juju, you guys probably post all of your speaking stuff there too, right?
Yeah, and I will say too, a little extra on the, because it's drivable for me, at the one in Charlottesville, Virginia. My daughter will be there, so
Oh,
So if you want to see the cutest little girl that's ever existed in the entire world,
Ever.
then that's part of it as well.
Like ever. Except I'm sure her mom when her mom was little. Don't forget to
Yeah,
throw that.
they look very similar. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So does Huckleberry go with you?
he does not because he's not good in the car. But we're kind of feeling that out because I think that might have been a puppy thing. So we're kind of
Yeah,
working on some
maybe.
strategies. But we have a wonderful. It's actually our babysitter and dog sitter who
Yeah.
is happy to stay here and spoil him. So
Oh, perfect.
he might like her better than us anyway. So it's fine.
That's good. That's good. All right, guys. Well, we're going to let you go. For those of you who are coming, I know Sailor and Friends, Marnay is on there. Marnay, we'll see you soon. And for the rest of you, if you can't catch Billy at the Thriving Pet Expo in Newport Beach, make sure you look him up because he's traveling all over the country speaking. So hopefully you'll catch him there. And Billy, as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to kind of share with us a little bit about this
Of
information that
course.
you have. Appreciate it. And I'll see
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Sounds good.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Krista.